The 20% habit that saved my retirement. 10 days. That was all the time Bob had left before his bank account hit zero. Bob is 65 years old and lives in a small, quiet town in Ohio. He spent 40 years of his life working as a dedicated floor manager at a local manufacturing plant. He never missed a day of work. He never bought a car he couldn't afford. He and his wife, Martha, lived by the rules we were all taught. They clipped coupons, they turned off the lights when leaving a room, and they put every spare penny into a savings account. But standing in his kitchen on a cold Tuesday morning, Bob looked at the pile of medical bills and the rising cost of utilities. Despite 40 years of doing everything right, he was failing. He felt a heavy, cold weight in his chest that many of you might recognize. It is the fear of becoming a burden to your children. It is the shame of realizing that your lifelong hard work might not be enough to buy you peace. Bob was caught in the 80-20 trap, and he didn't even know it. He was spending 80% of his energy on things that only provided 20% of his financial security. But then he discovered a secret that the wealthy have used for centuries. It is a principle that seems almost too simple to be true. It is a habit that saved his retirement and allowed him to finally breathe again. And today, I want to share that journey with you so you never have to feel what Bob felt that morning. The 80% trap of hard work. Most of us were raised with the work hard blueprint. We were told that if we just grit our teeth and stay frugal, the numbers will eventually add up. But the world has changed. Inflation is a silent thief that doesn't care how many coupons you clip. Bob was spending hours every week trying to save $5 on groceries. He spent 80% of his mental energy agonizing over micro decisions. Should I buy this brand of coffee or the one that is 50 cents cheaper? Should I drive 3 miles further to save 2 cents a gallon on gas? While Bob was focused on these tiny details, the big holes in his financial ship were wide open. He was losing thousands of dollars to hidden fees in his old mutual funds. He was paying unnecessary taxes because he was withdrawing money from the wrong accounts at the wrong time. He was focused on the 80% of actions that drive almost zero net worth growth. I see this every day with people I talk to. We are exhausted because we are working against the math. We feel like we are rowing a boat with one oar, spinning in circles, while the shore gets further away. Bob realized that he couldn't save his way out of a systemic problem. He needed a leverage point. He needed to identify the 20% of actions that would actually move the needle for his net worth. This realization is the first step toward true financial dignity. It is the moment you stop being a servant to your bills and start being the architect of your future. The 20% revelation. Bob sat down with a piece of paper and a simple realization. 80% of his wealth was going to come from just 20% of his choices. He stopped looking at his grocery receipts and started looking at his asset allocation. He realized that his money was sitting in safe accounts that were actually losing value every single day because of inflation. The first part of his new habit was what I call strategic focus. He identified that 20% of his investments were doing 80% of the heavy lifting. He moved his focus away from high-fee, low-return funds and toward assets that provided consistent cash flow. In the US and Canada, we have specific tools designed for this, but most people are too overwhelmed to use them. Bob looked at his tax strategy. By simply changing the order in which he withdrew from his 401k and his Roth IRA, he saved over $4,000 in a single year. That is the equivalent of clipping $805 coupons. Which one is easier? Spending a lifetime hunting for coupons or spending one afternoon optimizing your tax bracket? The second part of the habit was the fee audit. He discovered that he was paying 1.5% in management fees on a fund that was barely growing. Over 10 years, that fee would have swallowed nearly a third of his potential gains. By moving that money to a low-cost index fund, he effectively gave himself a massive raise without working an extra hour. This is the power of the 80-20 rule. It isn't about doing more, it is about doing the right things. It is about finding the vitals and letting go of the trivial. Bob realized that he had been a victim of financial noise. The news, the banks, and the complex jargon are all designed to keep you in the 80% trap. They want you to feel overwhelmed so you stay passive. But when you focus on the 20%, the fog starts to clear. A new life of dignity. Fast forward 12 months. Bob is still in that same house in Ohio, but the atmosphere has changed. The pile of bills on the kitchen table is gone. He doesn't check the price of eggs every morning anymore. Not because he is rich in the way a billionaire is rich, but because he is wealthy in the way a free man is wealthy. He has identified the 20% of his actions that provide 80% of his peace. He spends his time now volunteering at the local library and teaching his grandkids how to fish. He is no longer a burden. In fact, he was able to help his daughter with the down payment on her first home last Christmas. The look in his daughter's eyes when he handed her that check was worth more than 40 years of manufacturing work. That is what we call finding grace. It is the moment your money starts serving your life instead of your life serving your money. Bob found his dignity again because he stopped playing a losing game. He realized that at 65, 70, or 80, your most valuable asset isn't your bank balance. It is your time and your mental energy. When you waste 80% of your energy on trivial financial worries, you are stealing from your own happiness. You are stealing from your family. Bob's transformation wasn't a miracle. It was math applied with compassion. It was the decision to stop being busy and start being effective. He realized that a solid 80-20 plan is the yacht that takes you home while everyone else is still struggling on a life raft. Your turn to choose. Now I have a question for you. What is the 80% of your life that is currently draining your energy for almost no reward? Is it the constant worry about things you can't control? Is it the hours spent trying to save pennies while the dollars fly out the window? I want you to take a moment and think about Bob. Think about that Tuesday morning when he almost gave up. You don't have to wait until you have 10 days left. You can start identifying your vital 20% right now. Maybe it is looking at your investment fees. Maybe it is finally sitting down to understand your tax withdrawals. Maybe it is just deciding that your peace of mind is worth more than the stress of micromanagement. Tell me your story in the comments below. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the noise? What is one big decision you have been avoiding that could change 80% of your results? We are a community here, and we learn from each other's journeys. In my next video, I am going to go even deeper. I will reveal the 3 silent wealth killers that are currently stealing 80% of your savings without you even knowing it. If you found value in Bob's story, please consider joining us on this path to financial dignity. You have worked hard your whole life. You deserve to have that hard work actually pay off. You deserve to live with independence and foi l'ange. Thank you for spending this time with me today. This content is for informational purposes only and does not substitute for professional financial or medical advice. Please consult with a qualified professional before making any significant changes to your financial strategy or lifestyle. Always remember that your health and your peace are your true net worth. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.